Hello everyone, welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV. I'm Nina and today I am joined by Beth from the United stand. It's a pleasure to have you on, Beth. Thank you very much for coming on. We're going to look ahead to Manchester United hosting Chelsea at Old Trafford tomorrow. Hello Beth, how are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm good. I'm excited for tomorrow's game, obviously, but I'm probably not as confident as you would expect a Man United fan to be going against Chelsea right now because anything can happen. But yeah, I'm good. It's been a decent season for us.
Yeah, you think? Decent? Is that the way you describe it?
Yeah, it's been good. I would say obviously we were speaking a little bit before we came on here and I was saying last season, with Ollie being sacked and then Ranić coming in and it was just it just felt like horrible. I'm a season ticket holder, so I go to Old Trafford every week and I was just not I wasn't looking forward to going because I knew exactly what was coming and it was now this season with Eric Ten Hag in, you can actually see the development. We've won a trophy. Yeah, it was the Carabao Cup, but we still won a trophy. We're probably going to get into the top four. We just need a point now from either you guys on Thursday or from Fulham last game of the season. And that's a massive, massive improvement for us because last season it was the worst ever points we finished on. It just felt like there was no hope. But this season we've signed some good players. Eric Ten Hag's injected some passion into the team and we're playing better football as well. And we actually look like on our day we can beat quite a lot of teams. But towards the end of the season, I've said it's like we're just kind of trotting towards the end of the finish line now. Our form has dipped. We're not playing as well as we was just after the World Cup. We have started to fall off a little bit, and I think that's just because our squad just can't handle it. Our first team's good, but after that we've got improvements to be made. But overall, especially if we get top four, it's been a very good season. But next season, hopefully, kick on for more.
Yeah, we've swapped places, haven't we? A little
Yeah.
bit. Playing FA Cup and Carabao Cup final, that was us literally last year. And it's crazy to think how significantly different this season is. We lost those finals, but we were still up there. Now we were cut short from both domestic cups so quickly, barely got a glimpse of it. We're 12th in the table. It's bizarre. I knew it'd be difficult kind of with the takeover and obviously Thomas Tuchel. That was just such a irrational kind of quick decision to make with no real plan B there. So I felt like we went through so much change and we thought this season would be the season where we see some consistency. We'll stick with one manager, we'll bring so and so into the club and we'll see something, change. But it just feels like it's just been a repetitive spiral of things going wrong. And honestly, I speak on behalf of everyone that supports Chelsea, that we are really ready to say goodbye to the season. We look ahead to tomorrow. You guys have something to play for. We don't. We haven't for a while. Of course, a point is all you need really to secure that Champions League spot. It's looking good. Realistically, you don't really want too much pressure before the final that you play to be taking on Fulham and expect that game to be the big one there. So I really don't think you'll have any problems against us. At this point, it's just I don't have much pride when I say that. But we've seen some dry scorelines when we've visited Old Trafford and when you've visited Stamford Bridge. It's always been a sort of kind of 0-0, 1-1 kind of draw. So there's never been a crazy scoreline. How confident are you feeling that you could potentially score more goals? Obviously, expose our weakness right now, which is our defense as well. Our defense was kind of the one thing that was looking better, or at least good in comparison to our goal scoring. But that's really dropped as well. Teams can score against us easily. So how confident are you feeling that you could potentially see more goals than we have in our past fixtures?
Well, I'm obviously more confident going into it now because in the past, I mean, even earlier on this season when we went to Stamford Bridge, it was a tough game. I mean, that penalty was a penalty. I think McTominay gave it away to Jorginho, and then Casemiro equalised in the last minutes. It always is one of them tough games against Chelsea, no matter what happens. Which is why I said I'm not as confident as I should be going into this game, but I am more confident than usual going in against Chelsea, and that's purely because I'm going to be honest. I don't rate Lampard as a manager at all. I think he's way out of his depth at Chelsea, and I don't know where his managerial future lies after this Chelsea job. I'm sorry to all Chelsea fans. I know he was a brilliant player, and he seems like a lovely guy. But as a manager, I just don't think he can cut it, if I'm being honest with you. But at the same time, you look back at Potter, and I thought Potter was going to be a great appointment for you guys, and then also couldn't get a tune out of this Chelsea team. So you can't just blame the managers. I think for you guys, obviously, it all started going wrong when I think it's not the fact you've bought bad players, because I think there's some really good buys in there. I know you've overpaid probably for a lot of them. I just think it's the fact that there's too many, too many, too many chefs in the kitchen, like doesn't work out.
Yeah.
There's just too many of them. And so for me personally, I just think this Chelsea team isn't together. You've got no goal scorer really, so it's not as if you're a goal threat, and you can be got at. So for me, I don't expect a high scoring game, if I'm being honest, but that's purely down to us because we can't score goals at the moment either. Like if you've seen our recent score lines, it's like 1-0, 2-0. Like we never score more than 2. It is very rare we score more than 2. So, and plus, I know it was City's B team, but they are very good still, and you managed to hold them to only 1-0. So I expect like a 1 or 2-0. I'd be very disappointed if Chelsea do score against us because, I mean, every time I've watched it this season, you just don't look like you're going to score whatsoever. So I'll be disappointed if we do
Can't do it.
concede at Old Trafford. Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially because, to be fair, when you look at your record and how many goals you've conceded at Old Trafford, it isn't that many. And for us, a team that has literally not been able to goal score all season, it's been impossible. We've had the fair few deflections or set pieces or penalties here and there, but we can't score goals. So from that aspect, especially like I said, when you've got that stat there with how many little goals you've conceded at Old Trafford, it's impossible. I can't have any confidence, for this game. And that's why, of course, you're feeling a lot more confident. But like you said, it was a tight game. But I think when we played you in that 1-1 draw, when you came to Stamford Bridge, I think that's where we really started to fall off. I think that was kind of the turnaround, because then after that, we lost to Arsenal, we lost to Newcastle, we lost to every single one of the big dogs in the Prem. And that's when we realised, we're really not up there this year to be competing with any of the top 4 teams, any of the top 6 teams, even the top 10 teams, because here we are, we've been battered by pretty much every single, team in the Prem. We got beaten home and away by a team that got relegated, so you've got that there as well. So, you keep it coming, but everything you said is true, Beth. We really have just been underground and it's just been so poor. So I do expect nothing. I don't expect anything. Like I said, we didn't turn up for the games where we had something to play for and things were at stake. I don't expect to be turning up against a team that, has something to play for at Old Trafford. Don't see it happening. However, one thing I am hoping for is, I know you said you haven't scored many goals, but at least I hope it'd be merciful, because, if something is unleashed tomorrow, I think Rashford is coming back. He's potentially going to be making an appearance as well. And you never know. You never know. So I would like to at least sustain our dignity. Hope it's a merciful scoreline if you are going to score goals against us, because then we've got Newcastle and then that one worries me even more. So yeah, like I said, we've lost and we've been beaten, but we haven't endured more than 4. We haven't endured more than 4 this season.
Well, this is the thing, like, look at us. I mean, obviously we've had a good season, but we've had our 7-0s.
You brought it up, not me, Beth. You brought it up.
So exactly, you know what? They've been away from home though. Like at home, it won't happen. Like it just, I mean, like it definitely won't happen against the Chelsea side. No offense, but like, do you know what I mean? But like I also think as well, like with Frank Lampard and his team. I don't know if obviously I'm not watching Chelsea fan meticulously week in, week out, so I might be completely wrong here. But I do watch them quite a lot, and I just think his team selections, when I see them, I'm like, really? It's like, I think João Felix is a brilliant player. Yeah, he might, I think it's work rate maybe the reason why he's not playing him or something like that. But you need at least someone that's got, capable of scoring a goal and has a little bit of flair. I know people take the mick out of Mudryk a little bit, but I think he shows something, like at least something. And I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Madueke?
Madueke.
He looks good as well, and like he's only just starting to get like a little bit of a chance now. So yeah, it's a strange one with Lampard coming in and for me dropping players that looked like the most dangerous. And again, that's another example of the managerial experience.
Clueless. You can use that word.
Take you a little bit further. I think overall, no one right now could be able to come in and do a massive job at this part of the season. Next season, definitely. I think there's a lot of hope for Chelsea fans next season. Actually, I do think that with the players you've got, it just depends on what you do this summer and clearing names out and getting a manager in who knows exactly who he wants to play and who he doesn't want to be there. But Chelsea have got threats-ish, but I think Man United, we've, especially Old Trafford, like we've not lost since the opening day of the season now. Like you said, I think we've got the lowest goals that have been conceded at home. I highly doubt, it's going to be a loss tomorrow. But we'll have to see how many it is. I don't expect it to be a lot, if I'm going to be honest with you. I know Rashford's back, but Rashford's been great this season, really, really good. But even recently, he's started to dry up a little bit. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, you got a good point though. Like Lampard has proved week in, week out that he's very clueless, because he'll consistently throw Gallagher, Sterling up top with Kante in there as well. He'll consistently, make some shocking decisions. And yeah, we've not been good, but he's been limiting our chances every single game. The players that you've mentioned there, Mudryk and Madueke, I have been literally crying out for them to get playing time all season. They'll put on like a good 15-minute display when he brings them on with 20 minutes to spare, and then he'll bench them the next game. How are these players supposed to learn to play together, to gel together? Because they are our future, essentially. But no, what we've been doing is we've been playing players who are set to go in summer, who we're counting their days at Chelsea, yet they're getting more playing time over the likes of Madueke and Mudryk, and even Badiashile, who was dropped by Lampard when he first came in. And he was absolutely fantastic. Badiashile, yeah. He was a spark. He was honestly a spark in the darkness, and he just proved to be nothing but calm and composed. And what more could you ask for from a youngster who's literally just come into the club? He's walked into an absolutely shambolic mess of a dressing room, of a club, with things changing so much, yet he still managed to stay composed, to put in good performances. And when he gets thrown back in the lineup, he lives up to what he needs to do. So Lampard has consistently failed us with the lineups. I truly believe in, even back to stretching to Real Madrid, maybe nobody expected us to beat Real Madrid and qualify through, but we absolutely limited our chances in any shape or form with that lineup that he let out. And you almost kind of know how the game's going. A lineup kind of tells you all there is to know. When the game changes after your substitutions and you bring on the players that needed to start in the first place and the game brightens up, that reiterates that you got it wrong. And Lampard has consistently done it. There's not been, I can't remember off the top of my head one time where I thought, wow, yeah, that's a great decision from you. And we see it in the media, we see it in the conferences. He looks so deflated to me by every single passing day. He looks like he's ready to leave Chelsea. He's ready to kind of give the job to someone who knows what they're going to do. And as much as we love him and he will forever be a club legend, no arguments there, his experience as a manager just really hasn't been there. There's not been success there. And you can stretch back to the former clubs he managed as well, and we love him, but it's just not happening. And so I am kind of glad that that's coming to an end, because like I said, I really want the youngsters there. And obviously with Poch coming in, potentially not been officially announced, but that's what it's looking like. I have full faith, and I know that at least he will be giving a chance to those youngsters, and he will be giving them playing time. And that's where we maybe get something out of next season. That's where we maybe start building on an actual system, because we haven't had one. We haven't had one all season. We've rotated more players than any other team, pretty much, I'm pretty sure. We've not seen a kind of repeated starting 11 that looks, great, that has a system, knows how to play. It's been playing individuals week in, week out, just throwing the ball in there and asking them to just pass the ball to each other. Keep it safe. Just don't let the opposition have it, because it seems that we've just played for possession, really, and then we've just sat back when we've conceded one and just attempted to only lose 1 or 2-0. That's been our aim all season, really.
Yeah, it's sad, really. So, like, obviously, Chelsea, they're a team for me where like our rivals are like Liverpool and obviously Man City. So Chelsea are a team where it doesn't, obviously I want United and my team, but I can kind of feel the pain of Chelsea fans in the sense of, I know what it's like to, because you guys, you are like serial winners. Like you do win a lot of stuff, like Champions League you've won, like Premier Leagues under Conte and Mourinho, obviously, like you used to winning stuff, and like we were. But then, when you drop off so much, it does hit you really, really hard. And it is sad to see, like, Chelsea should be up there competing, but like I've said, I think it's not as bad as what I think people, like, obviously this season's been horrible, but I think some people think, oh, this is what it's going to be like for years now. And if something doesn't change quickly, they can easily go down that road like it did with us after, we got Moyes in and then we never really recovered from it afterwards. But if you do the right things quickly, like there is players there, like Enzo Fernandez, I think is brilliant. Badashil, like he said, Reece James, I think is probably the best right back, one of the best right backs in the league. Like there is players there that are of real quality. Chelsea, in my opinion, from the outsider looking in, massively need a striker. You need a goal scorer so much. And it's crazy to think you've spent so much money and not bought a striker. I know you have Nkunku come in, but I still think you need like an out-and-out number 9. Nkunku's a brilliant addition though, but again, need to get rid of players. And I think you need a goalkeeper as well. A goalkeeper is needed. But there is definitely a team there with the right manager. If Poch comes in and he does what he wants to do. He has a plan. I think there is definitely a big improvement for Chelsea to be made next season quite quickly. I don't think it'll take as long as what people think.
No, I hear you on that, definitely. I just think it was a series of wrong decisions made in kind of a consistent form there. And I think obviously the owners had a big part to play with it. And yeah, okay, Todd has come out and kind of admitted that some things went wrong, but I think he was just way too quick with the decisions he made. They weren't well thought out. There wasn't an actual plan B ever to Graham Potter, even, I don't think, because bringing him in for 5 years, that's pretty big decision to make, isn't it? Obviously, yeah, he managed Brighton. He had some fantastic moments there, got him playing good football. However, obviously no disrespect to Brighton, but there was just always a bigger job to do at Chelsea, and that's because of the players that we have and just the whole bloated squad and transfers coming in. And we didn't even manage to kind of settle in the transfers we had in summer, and then suddenly we got a new manager. Tuchel didn't have time to play the players that he essentially brought in. So then Graham Potter was left with all those players. He was left with a series of injuries, which I believe at one point we had about a full squad we could have played, and most of them were kind of regular starters. So it was a series of things, and I'm not going to defend Graham Potter, but I think the players have equally been to blame this season. And I've said it, there's been times where there's been no effort. We've been walking out on a pitch knowing that we're gifting 3 points on the day, or we'll fight for a point if we're feeling like it. There's been no fighting spirit. There's been nothing that has shown me that we'll try harder the next game. Like I said, we were cut short from both domestic cups so quickly. That hasn't happened. And with such little to play for throughout the season, our heads just dropped more and more further into the ground. And then with our Champions League dream ending as well, then after that, well, there really wasn't anything to play for. So like I said, I'm not expecting anything from the next couple games. If anything, it's coming to an end by Sunday. And yeah, I just really want to look forward. A squad clear out is absolutely at the top of the to-do list. There's an extensive list of them. I worry we probably won't be able to make as much money as we need to and would want to. Of course, we've got to get rid of, sell homegrown players as well. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is already kind of in talks with Milan. There's talks with Gallagher and other players. But then there's players you look at like Havertz. Like, how does Havertz fit in next season? Havertz he's still living off that Champions League final goal, and he's not produced anything else this season, I can't say. Okay, he's been maybe third top goal scorer with like a few goals, but it's just been horrific from Havertz as well. And the fact that no club is really interested in him either, that kind of shows that as well there. So honestly, I really want us to cut down the squad. Just whoever is staying and wants to be here, that takes priority. And then obviously manager coming in gets the preseason, gets summer to get to know everyone, to find a system and implement that system. And I'm not saying things are going to get better off the bat, first game of the season. No. But I'm expecting that results will first start getting better, because the results we've had have been shocking. And then obviously solving goal scoring problems and kind of how we tie in midfield to our front three, whoever they may be, and obviously that striker there. So yeah, a lot of work needs to be done, but there is a clear kind of step-by-step process to it. So although it doesn't sound simple, it kind of really is. Todd Bowley's just got to take a step back and allow the new manager to really find their own way of sorting out Chelsea.
Yeah, he's got to back the new manager for sure, and let them do what they want to do. Like, for me, it was alarm bells when Nagelsmann, and Enrique both have kind of turned away from the job. Like, what is Todd Bowley saying to them in these interviews? I mean, like, this guy, like, he means well, and he seems like a lovely guy, but I think he came into, the Premier League football expecting all these things that just aren't. He maybe compared it to what it was like in American sports, I'm not sure, but it is different, and it is its own unique thing. And I think he did come in thinking he probably knew more than what he did. and obviously just went guns blazing. And you know what? Fair enough to have an owner that actually wants to, you know, spend money and he obviously wants to win. Like, there's no doubt about that. He wants to just, you know, throw everything at it to win, but you've got to kind of do it in the right way. And I think he's probably a massive lesson, and he probably has learned from this. But in the future, like, especially this summer, I'm assuming you're not going to have that much money to spend again, especially, you know, with not being out of Europe. So it's got to kind of take a step back and let Pochettino do his thing. And you know what is it with Graham Potter as well? So just to say on this, with that appointment, like, he's a good coach. I think he is a good coach. But when Chelsea, like, you know, this, like I said, they have won a lot they've won a lot recently, and they've had characters like Mourinho, Conte, Thomas Tuchel. These are characters that, like, you know, they are strong personalities. You need someone with a strong personality, and I think to be at the top, you have to have that. And I don't think Potter has that ruthless streak in him, despite how much he probably wanted to kind of portray that a little bit. I just don't think it was in him. The same way, he's a much better coach, I think, than Solskjaer, but Solskjaer didn't have that either, and you can't really compete at the top level without that. But Pochettino, you know, I think he does have that. He's obviously not as, you know, outspoken as the names I've just said, but he's proven himself in European football and the Premier League. I know when it was between Ten Hag and Poch, I always did want Ten Hag, but I remember thinking, if we got Poch, it's not an awful, like, you know, manager to come in. So I think you need someone to come in and steady the ship and just start improving things, and he will definitely do that.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully. Well, God's hearing you, Beth. Hopefully Todd Bowley as well. But yeah, that's the truth. What are your expectations for Man United for next season, though? Of course, you know, got a cup final to play for. Potentially, you're not quite the favourites for that one. But, you know, again, 2 finals and top 4 doesn't seem like such a bad season for you guys. So what is your kind of priority? What would you like to be a priority for Man United next season?
Well, it's only good being in 2 finals if you win them. And I'm going to be honest, I don't see us winning the FA Cup final. Like,
we were in both and we lost both.
Yeah, they were on penalties, both of them as well. That's frustrating. But like, if he went, no, I was going to say if it went to penalties, maybe we'd have a chance. But I forgot we have David De Gea in net, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, I was going to say that's probably
you're not his biggest fan.
No, I was going to say it's probably the only way you've got a chance, you know, on Thursday if he makes a mistake or something. But no, like, you know, De Gea's a great shot stopper. Like, there's no denying that. But as a goalkeeper, he's not good enough for the top level. Anyway, but as I was saying about next season and the final, obviously, Man United have to win that final, in my opinion. Do I see us winning it? I hate to say it, but no. City are dominating football at the moment. They look unplayable. Like, they look so good. I mean, the fact their B team played like that is just like, honestly, and they had nothing left to play for at that point either. They'd won the Prem. So, you know, they are unbelievable. Like, playing Real Madrid off the park the way they did, and Real Madrid are a top side, like, it's going to be really, really tough, especially the fact we've got a couple injuries still. Like, Martinez will be a big miss for us. And, you know, as I said, if it was after the World Cup, we're in that really good vein of form, I'd be confident. But at the moment, we are struggling a little bit. Like, we struggled to get it. Bournemouth are a good side, but you guys beat Bournemouth, I think, 3-1. Like, we struggled to get it over the line against Bournemouth. So at the moment, we are kind of just, you know, plodding along. So the final, even though I feel like we have to win it because of the treble, my expectations are low. I'd probably say we probably have a 1 in 10 chance of winning that, but we'll see. Anything can happen on the day, I suppose, at Wembley. You know, the players have got to turn up. But going into next season, honestly, I think it all depends on what we do in the transfer window. It's so obvious that Man United need, I know we've spent a lot of money, but we've spent it poorly in the past. We need to spend money in the right areas. We need a striker, like, badly. Like, we're like you guys in that sense. Like, Valverde cost, God love him, like, no Premier League goals and just can't hit a barn door, can he? Bless him. I mean, Martial, injured every week. Like, we need a striker. Rashford's not a striker. He's a left-sided forward. So we need a striker. We need a midfielder. And yeah, I think we need a goalkeeper as well. We need to be able to play Erik Ten Hag style of football, which is possession-based, playing out from the back. And being able to score goals is a massive part of that. So I think if we invest well in the summer and we do, you know, invest in what Erik Ten Hag needs, I expect us next season to be I think City will win the league again, but I expect us to be putting up a much bigger challenge to Manchester City next season. I expect us to be competing the same way that Arsenal have this season. If we sign well, there's no reason we can't do that. And in the Champions League, I expect us to compete. Like, I mean, Inter Milan are in the final, for God's sake. Like, there is possibilities to, get far in the competition, especially if you get a decent draw. So, if we sign well, I expect us to be competing for them competitions. You've got to improve off the back of this season. I mean, Harry Kane, he comes into the side. You're talking proper challenging, I think.
Okay. All right then. So big hopes then. That's what it sounds like. Big hopes.
Might be crushed very quickly. But if you've got you think if Ten Hag has got top 4 this season with, what I think he's been underrated actually. Like, look at what other teams have. Like, I know we've got some really good players, so I'm not being ungrateful. I know that. But like, you look at, Newcastle have Callum Wilson or Isaac. We have Wout Weghorst and Martial's always injured. Like, City have Haaland or Alvarez. And like, with what the tools that Eric Ten Hag's had, I do feel like he's done very, very well. But then again, you've got to remember next season, I do think Chelsea will be back. Like, I think they'll be back, challenging for maybe top 4 for Europe spots, potentially. Still think Tottenham will be awful because that's Tottenham, isn't it? But, we've got Newcastle again. They've just got Champions League football. They'll be reinvesting into their team. So it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. And Liverpool are going to be back. I definitely think that they've come back slightly over the second half of the season. Like, they're on our backs a little bit. But next season, I think it's especially if, Jurgen Klopp gets the investment that he needs, they'll be obviously up there challenging again as well. So it's tough. It is tough. It's the best league in the world. But with the right signings, we should be challenging on the back of this season, I think.
Nice. Well, fair enough. Yeah, that's why the Premier League is the most competitive league. Like, there you have it. You just said all these teams battling it out. And right, last but not least, before we round up, I want to ask you score prediction for tomorrow.
I'm going to go with a 2-0. A 2-0 to Man United. And the reason I'm going 2-0, I was going to go 1-0, but you've taught me into 2-0 now with how poor you've been this season. But no, I just don't see Chelsea scoring. And got to get Champions League football over the line. So that'll be the motivation. We're at Old Trafford, which has been a really good spot for us this season. So I'll go 2-0.
Okay, lovely. Beth, thank you so much. Well, like you said, I've got no confidence about this. Like you see, my head is down on the ground. I think we could potentially, I think we're going to play quite defensive. I mean, knowing Lampard, he's probably going to put Aspilicueta at right back. So, feel free to just run straight through that left side, whoever you power, if Rashford's going to be in there, whatever. But I don't have high hopes. I think we could potentially, like you said, narrow down the scoreline. I would probably I want to go for a hopeful 1-0 defeat. That's me being hopeful. There you have it. That's my score prediction.
I'll take that.
Take that. Well, of course you will take that because, then that secures your top 4. That secures a Champions League spot and you get to go into Fulham, relax, and then you get to focus on the final. But Beth, it's been a very good chat today, even though you've just reminded me how badly Chelsea have played this season. It's the truth. That's how it is. But it's been a pleasure having you on. So thank you so much for coming on. And to everyone watching, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV, subscribe, check out Beth on her socials as well. And thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for having me.